Two black holes, each a billion suns, locked in a 3-year orbit, singing a steady G-note that doesn't stop. That frequency, 783.99 Hertz, the G above middle C on a piano, doesn't travel through air. It travels through the frame of the universe. Picture the crust of a planet caught in that beam, not shaken, stretched, like metal fatigue on an aircraft wing, cycle after cycle, until the bonds simply give. Most supermassive binaries take centuries to complete an orbit. 3 years means their separation is down to a few light weeks. Their event horizons nearly kiss at periastron. The space-time shear at that moment isn't a wave anymore. It's a rupture. And the power pouring out in gravitational radiation is 10 billion times the total light of the Milky Way. If you were mission director on a deep survey telescope and the alert came in, planet-killing strain detected, trajectory locked, arrival in 18 months, would you transmit a warning to any voices out there, or let the sky stay quiet? I'm asking because I genuinely don't know what I'd do. Leave your answer below. Nanograv's 17-year dataset, time-stamped February 2026, single-source pipeline run on pulsar J1909-3744. The timing residuals had a periodic drift no binary companion could explain. 3.03 years, exactly. Phase-locked to a location near the core of the Coma cluster, inside the galaxy NGC 4889. Two black holes, combined mass 1.5 billion suns, separation 300 light-years, a hair's width. And the note, the G, redshifted through a billion light-years into a space-time hum at 2.1 times 10 to the negative 8 Hertz. Inaudible, but not unfelt. The orbit is eccentric. At closest approach, the strain spikes. The team had to mask those spikes just to keep the timing model from breaking. If you need a place that maps the edge without flinching, we exist for that. Subscribe now. This is only the first transmission. The note isn't steady. It's blue shifting. The blue shift means they're not just orbiting, they're falling. Imagine a bell that rings at a higher and higher pitch as it drops towards your skull. That's what the space-time metric is doing. The frequency ratio is off the models, not by a little, by enough that the in-spiral timetable moved from geological tomorrow to within a human lifetime. 1. The orbital period isn't decaying at the rate general relativity predicts for a two-body system. It's faster. 2. Something is dumping angular momentum into the system. A third body, a massive accretion drag. We don't know. 3. If this decay rate holds constant, the merger doesn't happen in 10,000 years. It happens in 47. And the final plunge, the catastrophic ringdown where the G-note screams into kilohertz gravitational death, will take under 30 seconds. Knowing what you know now, that a space-time shockwave calibrated to crack continental plates will hit before mid-century, do you spend those years trying to burrow? Or do you walk outside on the last clear night and just listen? I can't choose. Tell me how you would. Event Horizon Telescope, Observing Run, April 2025, 230 GHz, target NGC 4889 core. They weren't looking for the binary. They were imaging the jet base. And they found it. The jet is precessing, wobbling in lockstep with the 3.03-year orbital clock. That's expected. What stopped the room was the inclination angle. 2 degrees. We are staring into the exhaust pipe of 2 billion suns. The jet axis points almost exactly at Earth. When the black holes touch, that precessing jet will snap into alignment and release a focused gamma-ray burst lasting longer than any recorded in history. Not enough to vaporize the planet, just enough to ignite the atmosphere and boil the top 300 meters of ocean in a single flash. We don't post speculation here. We post coordinates. For those who still want to know what's coming through the dark, subscribe. The data is cruel, but it doesn't lie. The merger flash has already passed the Fornax cluster. It's over halfway home. The G note carries a second voice, a harmonic at 7.8 hours, locked in quadrature, speaking only in gamma rays. This isn't a tone anymore. It's a pulse code. Imagine an engine sending pressure signals through a fuel line, each spike a command. That's what Fermi-LAT saw in the photons from NGC 4889. The precessing jet isn't just wobbling, it's flickering. On, off, with a cadence that mimics a system clock. 1. The 7.8-hour period is stable to a part in 10 billion. No natural clock in a relativistic disk holds that well. 2. The gamma-ray pulses align with the orbital quadrature, the exact points where the gravitational wave strain changes sign. That's physically impossible for a simple hydrodynamic jet. 3. The submodulation started exactly 3.03 cycles ago. Before that, the gamma-ray background from NGC 4889 was flat for 17 years of monitoring. Something activated. If an alien signal arrived buried inside a gravitational wave, its encoding layer 100 times smaller than the wave itself, would you even call it a message? And if decoding it revealed coordinates, not words, coordinates pointed exactly here, would you reply? I'm asking because my hands have been shaking since I saw the folded light curve. Tell me in the comments what you would do with that transmission. Fermi Large Area Telescope, Pass 8 Event Reconstruction Run, March 15, 2026. Photon arrival times binned to the binary epoch. The analyst wasn't looking for intelligence. She was looking for inverse Compton scattered signatures from the jet boundary. She found a pulse train phase-locked to the gravitational waveform from the nanograv pulsar timing array. Same source, same 3.03 years, same blue shift. The 7.8-hour modulation isn't from the black holes. They're too large to clock that fast. That timescale belongs to something orbiting at 120 Schwarzschild radii. Something dense. Something artificial enough to modulate a billion-sun jet with the precision of a cesium atomic clock. And the modulation isn't random noise. It's a binary sequence. 143 bits repeating. A prime number. We are not speculating here. We are reading the logbooks of instruments that cost nations to build. If you need the raw data behind these words, subscribe. The next part is harder to write. They aren't signaling into the void. They're signaling into the beam path. we're the only ones who could receive it. The 143 bits spell coordinates, not in the sky, in the genome of a bacterium that lives in deep crustal rock 2 miles beneath your feet. The primer is not random. It's a start codon, TAC. When you run the sequence through a ribosome, it assembles a chain of 21 amino acids that fold into a prion, a misfolded protein that forces other proteins to conform, a digital signal that becomes a biological instruction. And the prion it encodes targets only a single cell type in vertebrates: neurons. 1. The sequence showed up in terrestrial bacteria exactly at the moment the gamma-ray modulation began. Soil samples from before that date don't have it. 2. Panspermia isn't the explanation. This isn't space dust. It's an electromagnetic upload, a signal transmitted at 783.99 Hz gravitational that couples to a quantum biological resonance in wet chemistry. 3. Every human on this planet carries the prion now. It's dormant, waiting for a second signal, a triggering frequency that arrives with the jet flash. If the message inside your own cells was placed there by something engineering the deaths of 2 billion suns, are you a recipient or a target? I can't look at my hands anymore without seeing a loaded cassette of instructions I didn't consent to carry. Would you try to silence it? Or would you let whatever comes next unfold? Tell me. I need to hear someone else's voice on this. Swift X-ray Telescope, TOO, observation 163845, NGC 4889, core, February 18th, 2026. Integration time, 2 kiloseconds. The polarization angle of the gamma-ray pulses is not fixed. It rotates. Not smoothly, digitally. 90-degree steps, exactly 90. Locked to the 7.8-hour clock. The only structure in physics that produces a 90-degree polarization flip is a half-wave plate, a crystal rotated by 45 mechanical degrees. Someone put a modulator in the beam path, a quarter-parsec across, made of magnetized plasma held in a torus at the jet base. It's an antenna. And the 143-bit sequence, when folded into a helix and rendered as a charge density map, is not a blueprint for a machine. It's a blueprint for a conscience, a signal that replicates inside wetware. A mind virus targeting the one species that built radio telescopes to see it coming. This channel doesn't offer comfort. It offers the raw feed from the instruments. Subscribe if you want the decryption key for the next upload. It's already in transit. The trigger frequency isn't part of the binary. It's coming from behind the black holes. Something is peeking through the warp.